Welcome back. If you haven't already, you might find it helpful to check out my first video, which offers a theoretical explanation of how reaching liberation and empowerment is possible through Mahayana Buddhism. This video was inspired by the teachings of the South Korean Buddhist master 백성욱, who has taught ways for lay Buddhists to achieve partial or even complete enlightenment. In this video, I will be sharing my interpretation of his teachings delivered by his renowned disciple, Master Kim Wonsoo. The enlightened Master Baek emphasized that reading the Diamond Sutra, a classical Mahayana Buddhist scripture, is a highly effective method of practice. Master Kim noted that when we read the Diamond Sutra, the recurring emphasis on the ideas of emptiness and non-attachment detaches our minds from our problems. I can also speak from my experience that this has a calming effect, reduces tension, and relieves stress. At times, it even feels euphoric. Such experiences are not unique to highly trained Buddhist practitioners. My classmates from a course on Chinese Buddhism, which focuses on Mahayana Buddhist philosophies, reported that being exposed to the ideas of emptiness, impermanence, and non-self helped them reframe problems in everyday life, not take things too seriously and overstress themselves, and get started on assignments spontaneously. Studies have also found that release from mental fixation, in other words, non-attachment, can encourage more objective perception, greater compassion, and reduce selfishness, which translates into benefits including improved personal well-being, relationships, and productivity. Master Baek taught his disciples to read the Diamond Sutra out loud every morning and evening and surrender all thoughts, especially toxic ones, that arise during the day. Reading the sutra is much easier to do with Han or Chinese characters because each word is one syllable, and it only takes about half an hour to recite the sutra once. However, it can be difficult to do readings in English as it takes a much longer time. For this reason, I would like to offer an alternative suggestion: to repeat the 4-line gathas in the Diamond Sutra, especially when limiting beliefs or unpleasant emotions such as worries, anxiety, and depressions arise. Practicing with the 4-line gathas was promised to be effective in the Diamond Sutra by the Buddha himself. While Buddha emphasized that attachment is the root of all afflictions, the wisdom of emptiness embedded in the gathas are effective in removing attachments to things in our reality, whether it be obsessions with certain people, things, or goals, or attachments to toxic thoughts and beliefs. Next, I will explain how we can apply the concept of emptiness embedded in the gathas for great liberation. Here, I'll introduce the first gatha. Note that at first glance, it can sound very abstract and confusing, but don't worry because I'll be giving a practical interpretation later on. All that has a form is elusive and unreal. When you see that all forms are elusive and unreal, then you will begin to perceive your true Buddha nature. Abstract teachings like these from Buddha can indeed be challenging to interpret. A word I'd like you to pay particular attention to is form. When we hear form, we typically think of physical objects, but it's important to note that our thoughts also have forms. We visualize and conceptualize ideas, and our thoughts exist as conceptually bound entities, existing in a particular way with distinct identities from the rest of the universe. Master Kim Wonsoo emphasized that it is important and truthful to translate form as mental phenomena more so than physical phenomena, because centrally in Buddhism, there is no independently existing physical reality. All physical phenomena are creations or reflections of our mental phenomena. Here's a practical interpretation of the gatha based on Master Kim's lectures. All thoughts, such as those of incapability, difficulty, ignorance, or inferiority are elusive and unreal. If you could realize this, you could perceive your infinite capabilities, compassion, and wisdom. You might find it helpful to see the first video to understand why this is so, but the idea is that because we inherently have Buddha natures, we have boundless capabilities, compassion, and wisdom equivalent to those of Buddhas, which we can recover through practice. Next is our second gatha from chapter 32 of the Diamond Sutra. So I say to you, this is how to contemplate our conditioned existence in this fleeting world. Like a tiny drop of dew, a bubble floating in a stream, like a flash of lightning in a summer cloud, or a flickering lamp, an illusion, a phantom, or a dream. So is all conditioned existence to be seen. Again, this focuses on the ideas of impermanence and emptiness. All conditioned existences, such as a self and physical and mental phenomena, are impermanent and illusional, like a drop of dew, bubble, and lightning. Master Kim noted that the key implication here is to realize that the ideas of a self and suffering are equivalent to illusions or dreams. He also said that when we realize that suffering is an illusion or a dream, we can be liberated from suffering. This could also be applied to any limiting beliefs, afflictions, or unpleasant feelings. As a meditative practice, this can be more advanced and effective than simple meditation, which focuses on breathing. While focusing on our breathing and taming the monkey mind puts our egos to rest by preventing them from producing negative thoughts, it is not sufficient for completely and permanently eliminating the ego, because we usually practice meditation with the intent to calm our minds or benefit ourselves in some way. However, with this method, we can directly apply the concept of emptiness to resolve the sense of self and suffering. We can begin practice with the understanding that there is no self, which is the apparent agent of suffering, and the belief that there are no problems or stress to be resolved in the first place. You can repeat until this is realized, until you feel at peace. This often means that the affliction has been surrendered to the Buddha nature. In other words, the problem has been resolved. The magical or miraculous implication of this practice is that if the affliction has been resolved in the mind, the problem will resolve in reality as well, because the mind creates reality. Thank you for watching.